Hey everybody, welcome back to Horror by the Book with Noel Wing. I'm going to do a special one today and talk about the 10 scariest moments in horror history, in my opinion. I don't know why I decided to do this. I usually don't do an episode like this, but I've watched a lot of horror films, and so let's do that. So here we go. Horror by the Book with Noel Wing. I'll be right back. Cue it. Oh my gosh. Cue it. Be right back. Hello everybody, welcome back to Horror by the Book with Noel Wing. We're going to talk about some of the scariest moments in horror history, in my opinion, in film. We're going to talk about this in books too. We'll probably do this after this month of October is over, spooky season. Let's get into some of these moments. These are moments that stuck with me. They aren't particularly in order, like this one was better than that one. They're just moments that I remembered and that sort of stuck with me. So let's go. Pet Cemetery. Boy loses his kite roller and it rolls out into the street, and of course, you know what comes next. Barreling semi out of control, some guy in there rocking out to loud music, flooring it. Of course, it's really hard to watch that. You know, that's a baby getting hit by a semi truck. That's dang hard to watch, and that makes my list. I'll never forget that scene. That really struck me. Really dark scene. Of course, you know what happens when the boy gets buried, and anyway, there's other scenes in the movie too, like the wife's sister. I don't think that's that scary, but it was to a lot of people. But that's really hard to watch, the semi truck scene. So let's go on to another one. The Conjuring, of course, has sparked a huge franchise off of it. Tons and tons of movies. I think The Nun's related to it, and just goes on and on. Annabelle. Anyway, The Conjuring. There's one scene where the mother of the kids ends up falling down the basement, comes back up the stairs. She's trying to get out. The lights are out. She's trying to, she lights a match. A match goes out. She lights another match, right? And then she hears the voice of something. Want to play hide and clap, which is a game the family had been playing. And then two hands appear right behind her. Like that. Oh my gosh. That was really scary to me, and I really jumped at that one. That's to me, that's one of the best. No doubt about it. Number 3 was one I've talked about in a previous episode. Oddity. Right. A small Irish film that was released in just this summer in 2024, and it was only in the theater a few weeks, so I was really lucky to have seen it. It was almost a fluke I went to it. And there's a scene where the lady that lives in the house is walking around the balcony, and the one lady had put a different person had put a wooden mannequin down there, and she's walking on the balcony, and she looks down and sees that wooden mannequin. And if you know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to give you a spoiler. If you know what I'm talking about, I thought that was pretty intense. That scene nearly gave me a physiological reaction. I stopped breathing for a second. It was like more than a jump scare. It was like, oh my God. But you all know that scene if you saw the movie, and it was quite alarming. And I think that's one of my top 10 scares of all time, based on my reaction to it. Very, very, very scary, and I wasn't ready for it. By the way, there were several jump scares in that were really good ones. I mean, really super good ones. The next one's an old classic. It works every time, this scare. Jaws. When Richard Dreyfuss is out swimming in the ocean, and they find that abandoned boat, he jumps in at night. It's a night scene. He goes down, looks to the bottom of the boat, and finds a hole, and he's digging in the hole and messing around, finds a shark tooth, and that head rolls out. I'll tell you what, I went to this with a movie with a friend a few years ago, right after COVID was letting up, the pandemic, and there weren't very many new movies. It was pretty much showing old reruns of films, and oh my, did she jump when that happened. I mean, it was like really startled the heck out of her. That's a no-fail scene. You just don't expect that head to roll out. Let's go to Sinister. Sinister might be the scariest movie ever made. That movie has numerous disturbing scenes in it, but my favorite disturbing scene is the lawnmower scene. If you've seen Sinister, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? There's certain scenes where it jumps away to like 8mm footage. The guy's watching these films in his house that are just kind of left behind in a box. And there's this one scene where one of the films is, showing a horrific murder, and it's a lawnmower being pushed over a guy or a person laying in the grass at night. I'll tell you what, I did not expect that. I knew something bad was going to happen because it wasn't the first 8mm scene cutaway of 8mm film, I think it is. And boy, that scene really sticks to your ribs. That's a really good one. This was not always considered a horror film, but Seven had this scene where a guy was laying in his bed, right? The detectives had followed the killer's clue where to find this guy, and he was laying in his bed. He looked dead as a doornail, right? Skin and bones. He looked dead, and there were air fresheners hung up there, and etc. So I guess to hide the smell. But anyway, you think he's dead, right? And somebody leans down, and then the guy coughs. That's supposed to be dead. Oh my Lord. That was absolutely startling. And I think that's one of the best jump scares ever, was in Seven. As far as disturbing too, it's got the end of the scene where Brad Pitt's yelling, what's in the box? What's in the box? Yeah, we know what was in the box. And that too should be on this list. That was pretty disturbing too. Seven, by the way, is one of my favorite films. That was really, really a good film. Intense, but good. The Ring, I give a lot of credit for horror in the 2000s, for a kickstart in that decade. What a great film. But let's face it, that film at the end with Samara on the TV, it's a classic in horror history. I was watching that film. I was living somewhere else at the time, and I watched upstairs on different TV. And she had found the body in the well, and I thought, okay, it's probably it. So I turned it off and went downstairs. And I was told that it's not over yet. I ran back up, turned the other TV back on. And I saw that, where she comes out of the TV, kind of pixely and digitally. And boy, that was just flat out terrifying. And it's not really a jump scare. That's one of those scenes you just don't forget. You just don't forget. And you see it around sometimes in pop culture, people playing jokes with Samar or something like that, or calling out on TV at some store or something. Really, really good scene. Well done. This next one is kind of borderline on the list, but The Shining, Kubrick's Shining. And when the chef comes back from where he's vacationing in Florida in the off-season to check on the folks at the Overlook Hotel, he's walking in there, and of course Jack Nicholson comes from behind with that axe and drills him right in the chest, and down he goes, dead as a doornail. I mean, that poor guy had flown all day across the country to a place that was having massive winter storms to have like 10 seconds in the hotel before he gets killed. It's like, oh, that's gruesome. But when I remember I really jumped the first time I saw Nicholson just yell and come from behind that pillar and hit him. That was good stuff. And he knew he's up to something because he had an axe and knew the chef had showed up and was walking around. So my only question is, come on, Danny, you have The Shining. Let him know that something bad's lurking there. But anyway, by the way, I think Kubrick did a great job in that film. He caught some stuff from Stephen King on it, but I firmly believe good movie makers and good authors excel at their own craft. Movie makers make film and know the angles, the way to shoot it, the way to get their actors going and stuff, and how to handle their actors. And authors come up with great stories, and I think it's okay for Kubrick to adapt The Shining and change it quite a bit, and he did. But I think that film has held the test of time. Very disturbing, a real slow burn, but disturbing. The Strangers. Oh yes, I love this scene. Of course, Liv Tyler, stand in the kitchen. There's people messing with, around the cabin and trying to get in, and it's fairly, not too far in the film this happens. But I think that there's one scene there where she's in the kitchen. She was in the kitchen, and you see one of the strangers is already in with their mask on, their head covering, and just standing behind her, looking at her. Ooh, that's chilling. Being watched and not know you're being watched. That's scary stuff. And that was just a good scene. The stranger kind of disappears till later, where it gets really gruesome and bad. But that scene really caught my attention. Like, oh my God, it's right behind her. I mean, well done. You didn't even know they were in the house yet, as I recall. But that was a glimpse of a very first close contact with the ultimate victims of that film. Hereditary. Oh, you know what scene I'm going to bring up there. Right. Guy has his much younger sister at a party she frankly shouldn't be at. I had a few plot issues with Hereditary that most people didn't have. But I liked the film. The film was great, right? But there were some things that just I thought were a little out of place, including this scene where he has to take her much younger sister to this party of kids his age. He's in high school, I think. And on the way back, she starts having an attack in her throat, can't breathe, etc. And so she's choking, puts her head out the window of the backseat of the car. Animal comes out. Guy swerves. There's a post coming on the side of the car with the little girl's head out. You know what happens from there. But I think that's one of the most disturbing things that I've ever seen. I mean, you almost can't believe it happens. It happens so quick. And it's such a horrible thing. The follow-up is disturbing too. He's in shock, stops for a minute, and just drives home, goes upstairs and lays in bed. Just the whole thing was disturbing. Here's one I'm going to add in. I think this is actually number 11. I'm going to add it in anyway. The Audition, or maybe it's just Audition. Anyway, it's I think it's a Japanese horror film, and I think it's subtitled. There's a scene in that at the end where she is, torturing the main character basically, and it is one gruesome thing to watch. She's using piano wire to cut things off, and I think it's piano wire, but it is gruesome. And if you've never seen The Audition, I'll tell you what, find it. I'm not sure if it's The Audition or Audition. Like I say, you have to look for both and find out which one it was. But that has got to be one of the scariest movie moments of all time. The end of that film. And boy, you talk about disturbing and, something you don't forget. That one definitely ranks up there. Anyway, that's my list. And I'm sure there's things I forgot and other, parts of movies that, that scared me when I saw them. But I'm just bringing up the ones that come to mind. And so they're the ones that ranked highest in my book, the ones that affected me that I can remember. So I hope you enjoyed this. So I'll be back doing some books pretty soon. We're going to talk about some Dean Koontz books and some scariest novels of all time. I'm preparing to do one of those too. I'll give you a hint. One of those is by Stephen King. There's about 40 of them. But that's all I'm going to tell you. You have to guess the rest. But email me if you think you know which one that will be. And email me or message me some of your favorite movie scenes I maybe didn't account for that belonged on somebody's list. So happy Halloween's coming up pretty soon, a few weeks away. And until my next episode, this is Horror by the Book with Noel Wing. I'm out.